G'day everyone, and for those who came in late, you're listening to X-Band, the Phantom Podcast.
Years ago, he washed ashore the sole survivor of a shipwreck, and upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, "I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die."
The Phantom,
the ghost who walks,
the Phantom,
enemies beware, the Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom. He finds you.
G'day, we are the Chronicle Chamber team, and this is X-Band, the Phantom Podcast. Our website is chroniclechamber.com, and you can contact us via email, chroniclechamber@gmail.com. You can subscribe to us via YouTube, iTunes, or a plethora of Android apps. And this is episode 198. It's a very special episode. We're looking forward to presenting this one to you. A fan commentary on one of the greatest movies ever made, the 1996 film, The Phantom. So we're doing this in particular for its the 25th anniversary of its release here in Australia, which was September 1996. And joining me, I'm Steve, of course, and joining me today, we have Jermaine. How are you, Jermaine?
Good, mate. Good.
Looking splendid in that t-shirt there, mate.
Yes. So quickly, this t-shirt is actually the shirt that I wore when I first saw the Phantom movie. As you can tell by the hole there, it has seen better days, and it's a tight bit of a tight fit. But this is a shirt that I wore 25 years ago, and I'm a little bit proud that I can actually still wear it.
Yeah. it's supporting you very well. And Dan, how are you going there, mate?
Yeah, not too bad at all, Steve. Happy to be here watching movies on the first night of what is school holidays for me. Germ, we've talked a lot about walnuts in condoms. It's maybe peanuts. I don't know. It's no, it's great to see. Like I take my hat off to you, because there's no way I'd even try to put on a shirt today that I wore 25 years ago. Well done, sir, for fitting into it. Just to say, for people who are listening to the audio rather than watching us on YouTube, although I think, as you'll probably say, Steve, this is absolutely a YouTube one to watch while it, before it gets taken down potentially. We don't know. We're going to trial that. But Germ, you're wearing I commented before we started recording that the shirt says "No smoking in the Skull Cave."
Yes.
The Glenn Ford design, and you've somehow picked that up before. To me, that's a classic movie line, and somehow you've had the shirt with that line on it when you walked in to watch the movie.
Yeah. Now I watched the movie up in Geraldton, which is a large country town, 500 k's north of Perth, and so it was delayed by a couple of weeks before it found its way up there. But yeah, I did wear this shirt, and there was other shirts and stuff at sale at Granny Mae's. Like one of my memories at the movies, and I think I wore it twice. I mean, I went to the movies to watch the movie twice. Was they had this huge display cabinet, and it had all the Granny Mae's merchandise just under this glass display case. And then they had the flyer, like, you like the movie, you like this stuff, come down to Granny Mae's. And no jokes, I just remember as a kid, as a 12, 13-year-old, there was probably, I think it was actually a youth night when I actually went and watched it, is that we were all just in awe of all this cool merchandise that you could buy at Granny Mae's in the middle of the country in Geraldton. So it was a great memory.
Mm. And how old were you then?
I was about 12, 13.
Righto. And what about you, Steve? How old were you when you first saw the movie?
Well, 1996, I was 16, year 11. Up in Mildura, which is 500 k's north of Melbourne, if you want to go that way. So that's when I first watched it, up in the Deakin Cinema there. I reckon, from memory, I watched it with one mate. Decided to come along the week after. We're talking about it at school, and mentioned that we paid for from your mate's ticket, and another mate goes, "Oh, geez, if I knew you were paying, we would have come as well."
Well, I was 19 in '96, and at I guess second year university in Brisbane. And you just saying there, Steve, I can't remember who I might have gone to see the movie with at the cinemas. I can't imagine at 19 that there was anyone who'd want to. Any mates I had at that stage who might come and watch The Phantom with me. But I do have really clear memories of, I guess, how I felt during the film, and that first impression. What do you guys? What was your first impression of the movie when you first saw it? What your takeaways when you walked out of that cinema the first time?
I'd only been a hardcore fan for probably about 1 or 2 years, so I was in awe and I thought it was great. I did struggle, and I'll talk about this when we get to it in the movie, but there was the part of in the movie when I thought, I'm not sure about this. But as someone who had only been a fan for 1 or 2 years, to see him on screen, to see what was a fairly faithful production of the way Billy Zane portrayed it and stuff, and then the cool merchandise, the fact that the comics were out and all that type of stuff. And I had a few friends who had all been reading The Phantom and stuff like that, so there was probably about 3 or 4 of us. I have largely positive views at that time.
What about you, Steve?
Oh yeah, definitely. My wife always has a crack at me. Is there ever a movie that I don't like? And there's a Michael J. Fox movie from the 90s or something. I think it's the worst movie ever made. I think it's called Give Us a Break or Give Me a Break. It's rubbish. I don't like that movie. But I'm no movie critic. But when I watch a movie, I tend to always like it. It's very rarely that I don't like a movie. And The Phantom, of course, was not going to be any different. Being, of course, the fan that I was at that stage in '96, I had a paper round and would always get the comic on the Saturday after I'd finished my final run for the week. And yeah, working at a news agency, I knew that the magazine, the movie magazine that came out for it. So I'd known a couple of scenes, and I guess the one thing that there's so much that you remember, but whenever I think about the movie, the scene that always comes into my head straight away, and it's in my head right now as I'm remembering it, so I'm going to use it, is the jump from the plane to the horse to Hero. That's always stuck with me, along with everything else. And but that's the big one that goes, and if I was going to say negative, I remember hating the suit. The suit was just, with the design, or the having the skull on there and the tribal motif and all that sort of stuff. I remember really not liking that. But I actually did a bit of preparation for today's podcast and watched the movie this afternoon, and it really didn't bother me watching it today. But I remember back in 1996, I hated seeing that the design on the suit. What about you there, Dan?
I think I had seen a few publicity shots and that sort of thing. I wasn't as I was at uni. I had other things going on that I wasn't super absorbed into my Phantom geekdom like I am now. But I remember seeing a few publicity shots, and I was like you, Steve. I didn't really like the idea of the suit, and I thought I was going to hate it. I didn't hate it in the film as much as I thought I was going to. I had the bad taste in my mouth at the end of the film was to do with the magic powers that came in at the end and the skull ring, having laser beams shoot out of it. That was I walked away from the film a bit disappointed, and to the point where, even though I was a big Phantom fan, I don't even know if I went back and saw it at the cinema a second time. And it wasn't another 5 years after that I watched the film and started to appreciate it more.
We're going to be watching the movie very soon. Now, we're not movie critics. We're 3 fans who enjoy the Phantom, and hopefully we all enjoy the Phantom movie. Yeah. So the Paramount logo is going now.
So we can all hear that?
When that came up, for those who came in late, Jeremy just went nuts. Oh, for those who came in late. He went off already.
Yeah. What I like about this is that for the new fans, it gives them the legacy in like 30 seconds, so they know what makes the Phantom so special. Now, did you guys have an issue with it being a boy instead of a man?
I kind of did today, but I didn't back then.
And the boy knows.
So that didn't really bother me.
They scooped him
No.
up and carried him
No,
to the
me either.
village. And that night, in an ancient ceremony of fire and drums,
Probably one of the issues that I still have that was so glaringly obvious to me today was
then and there,
how,
the boy understood that he
for
was
lack of a better
destined
term,
to
how
avenge his
Asian
father's death
the Africans
by
look, the
being
natives
pirates,
look.
greedy,
Yeah, it's got that
in all their
Southeast
forms.
Asian feel, rather, or even Pacific Islander in some
Became
cases,
The Phantom.
rather than African.
But this
It's-
was just like, whoa. As
The
a
movie
kid.
was very much set in India, I think, and for those of us raised on the comic, it's far more an African setting.
Damn worthless map.
You drive, I'll navigate.
The problem is the map's all wrong.
The map is good, Quill. Remember its source.
I love these bad guys.
Then why is
I really
the
do.
map back there? We never crossed
And I know this is a rip off of Indiana Jones, a little kid, but I love this whole scene with these guys.
When, I've heard about the Indiana Jones comparisons as well in the past, and
Like,
I think
I
it's
like
kind of funny
that,
that big little elbow. So you got Short Round, but you've also got the bad guy looks like Indiana Jones with the fedora hat and the,
Yeah.
Got it upside down, you big moron.
But you're right. Like all the bad guys, even Drax, who we'll see soon, they're all memorable. Like
Drax is great.
yeah,
Pete Williams, he just having a ball.
I like this bit. Like the bridge scene was
Yeah.
another highlight.
Oh,
And you do have to remember, I sort of touched on it before, but you do have to remember that this is before proper special effects. In a sense, like if they made this movie today, would they actually tie a truck to a bridge and then cut the bridge and flip it over upside down? Or
there'd be some directors, I reckon, who would try and get everything as practical as possible, and then others who just go CGI. But I like the realness of it.
yeah.
But every time there's an explosion, the flames that they haven't dated well.
Well, I think that this sort of it's I suppose understated stunt. It's a genuine dead set stunt that they do. But it's not the blowing up of a skyscraper or anything. But it's that real life but understated. It speaks to the Phantom as a whole.
Yeah, there's a realism to it,
Exactly.
and like my kid watching it, he was the kid's driving. He was hooked. He was like, I am not exaggerating how much he was hooked on this.
And that's in the first 2 or 3 minutes. So that's been
Yeah.
So they did digitally enhance the depth of the canyon.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
brake. Use the brake. Okay, back in the truck.
and you can see that in like making of docos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even it speaks to the bad guys who are like not willing to risk their own skin. They'll send the 10-year-old truck. Like this is, they're proper roughnecks.
Oh yeah.
Thoughts on the 30s, 1930s setting, like the car, the fashions.
Okay, Zach.
Don't mind it because that was the aesthetic they were going for, and okay. But I hope they don't. If they make another Phantom movie, I hope they don't set it back then. I hope they make it modern day.
Yeah. But I think it would have been better if it was based in the 90s or something, but I can live with it. It's kind of like with the boy, and there's some other things I can kind of live with it.
Yeah. Oh,
No.
I'm probably with Steve. I like it being set.
Yeah. The thing that I like about at the start,
No.
like we've got this bit with the skull, it's really setting up the mysterious element of the Phantom. You've got the stories and before coming up you'll hear the jungle beat, the jungle drums, and it really adds to the mysteriousness of the Phantom.
I think they could have done it better for those who came in late, though. Like, it wasn't really enough. It was enough for us. People who already knew the story would absolutely get it, but for people who didn't know it at all, I think the full explanation of who the Phantom is comes too late.
I reckon in like back in the 90s, 2-hour movies weren't as popular as say which is an hour and a half. If it was say like a Marvel movie or a movie that's come after Marvel, a 2-hour, 2.5-hour movies, or even a 2-split movie, like 2 parts, you could have had that. You could have had half hour about the first Phantom, and then so you could have fleshed it out a bit more. But back then, with comic movies not as popular, I think they did. I liked it how it was quickly.
Yeah, you don't want to get bogged down in it though. You want the movie to progress, and like for Phantom fans, we're going to get it straight away. We love it. We think it's great that they put all those little elements in it. Someone who's not a fan is getting a tidbit of it, and hopefully they'll lead them to the comic or something like that.
Yeah.
And they get tidbits all the way throughout.
Oh yeah, watching it again today.
Yeah.
Just do us a favour, Jim. It's got nothing to do with the movie, but you reckon you can move your mouse up a little bit? I think there's a cursor sitting right there. We go.
Hey, Quill, up here.
Was this when watching it now and knowing the end, just that little glow in the eyes is already getting to figure out my
Bit of
spot.
foreshadowing.
Yeah, not happy with it. But yeah, geez, there's a heavy. How was Jeremy with all of it? This is
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Jeremy knew something was going to happen. He said, I just knew that thing was going to do something. I just knew it. Now, for those listening, Jeremy's 7 years old. So PG, the film's rated PG, so I had no problem watching it, but I was going to watch it beside him because I know of these little scenes. And Jeremy said he was ready for it, but he still got a little jump. And, Jeremy's 7.
Yeah.
And but something else that I didn't realise, and you don't realise it until you're watching it with the 7-year-olds, they actually swear a couple of times, especially here in the first 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's only just that,
And then there's one or two at the end.
SH1T.
Well. Yeah, I think shit's the worst of it, but
That's it.
It is disappointing when you go to, I had the same experience with Gus when he was probably that 7-8 years old and watching it for the first time and going, I forgot about that. I didn't. A lot more jarring.
And you probably didn't worry about it back then, but now we're just so cotton wooled and.
Yeah. I like this bit just with the whole jungle, the jungle drums.
Yeah. That elephant's a dead giveaway that's not in Africa. Yeah. It's an Indian elephant rather than an African elephant.
And then this here, just the head bit.
We've got to discuss now.
You can see his eyes.
Eyes, exactly right. This is the first time we see the suit, the ring, the skull belt, the Colt 911s. Like, this is the costume, the reveal. At least they get the fact that the mask is see-through and not with the white eyes. They get that out of the way straight away. Boom. Okay, here's the bit you're not going to like, and they go through the rest, which was all fantastic. Thoughts on the mask for this film?
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, they couldn't do it any other way, especially in 1996. So just something you had to live with.
Yeah, this is cool. This is good. Just the fact that they were frozen by the fact that this person is now coming towards them.
Yeah,
just out of nowhere.
And I actually like this bit just with the whole roughneck.
Yep, bang. That got a chuckle. The reveal. Yeah, the music worked.
The music works really well.
And the little quips.
Yeah.
Did he say eat it?
Danny Elfman is the composer for this, isn't he?
Is he? I wouldn't have thought so, but I'm happy to stand corrected.
What about Brink?
I'm going to look it up now.
Because Elfman did that.
I'm absolutely wrong. And I know this because I've got the CD. I should have. I've said that. But I'll look it up. The film, the soundtrack is pretty cool the whole way through.
I've made note of that today.
Yeah.
So here's one of those what the type moments. He's left the horse. Now he's going to try and outrun a truck while he's jumping through the trees. So, okay.
Well, guess what? He's back.
At least he's behind us.
So this bit here, already killed. Again, it adds to the lore and the mystery of the people that did not know who the Phantom is. It adds to the you try and kill him, but he comes back, and it's just, it just adds to the mysteriousness of it.
Actually, another thing, particularly at the start, I forgot to say it just before, when, we'll get to that in a moment. But the way they've got Quill's skull mark, you know, in the comics, it's always like pink, and this time it's like the bruising or whatever, the scarring. What do you guys think of that? A good way of doing it, or?
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, the skull mark, yeah. David Newman, who is the soundtrack composer. And I apologise, David. I should have known.
What about changing the Thing Brotherhood symbol?
I would have preferred the 7 dots, but
This
I
virtual
can-
movie.
I can live with the Seng name change,
Yeah.
but the dots, I would have preferred the dots than the spider web.
The spider.
I
it looks spider.
100% agree with that. It should have been the 7-dot flag.
That's another thing, just like the mask. Like they're making it for the fans, but they're also making it for non-fans, and having a spider, you know, gives it that extra bit of evil, I guess.
Yeah.
Culinary rather than just having 7 dots. But this is
Well, what's actually interesting is in the first story, it's just the 3 dots. I love this bit.
that's great.
Just
Yeah,
watching this.
diving out of the canopy of the truck, catching the boy with an impossibly deep canyon. You're right, Steve.
Hey,
It's an impossibly deep canyon that they're digging. It's surprisingly symmetrical.
that's right. But this is gold. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember being in awe of it as a 12-year-old, just like, oh wow, this is so cool.
How strong is this fella? It's just, it is setting up this character perfectly.
It is. It's like with
Sharpshooter.
super, you know, with huge human strength, not superhuman strength, but, you know, very, very strong, but not ridiculous. Is that the truck falling upside down into a river that explodes into a mushroom cloud? Is that the you're talking about, Steve?
Yeah, that sort of stuff. And I think even Jeremy made a comment. Geez, anytime anything crashes, it really does explode, doesn't it, Dad? So even he picked up on the explosion.
Now, I just might say while we're watching the Jungle Patrol setup, and we'll probably have comments about that, but we are also, I'm tweeting a few things, live tweeting as we go tonight, and just a comment from King Comics Rises TV. They would have preferred the 7-dot flag for the Sing Pirates as well. They're with us. No one likes the spiderweb flag. So
Now, I didn't pick this up until today when I watched it, but that's Weeks next to was it
Yes.
Horton or whatever?
Yeah, Captain Horton and then
Captain
Colonel
Horton.
Weeks,
Yeah.
or Sergeant or whatever he is then.
Imagine it weeks, 400 years.
So the thing that I like about that bit again is that it's the continuing of adding to the lore and the mystery of the Phantom. Now I remember a few girls like this bit at youth group that I watched this movie with.
well, it's shirtless Billy Zane, who has been training for 18 months for the role.
And we've done a set of push-ups before the scene.
What's not to like, to be honest?
Did you find Garan jarring here? You know, where's his grass skirt and cool hat?
Well,
Yeah, and it speaks to what we were talking about before about the Indian versus African setting, I suppose, and even the Jungle Patrol is a bit colonial in the way that it's set up. So I didn't like the colonial aspects of it, and I still don't.
yeah, Garan didn't really bother me as much because I remember we talked about this. Well, we talked about this in the 200th episode, where Jeff Weigel and Mike Manley talk about how they struggle themselves with the grass skirt and the hat, and how it almost doesn't fit. So that didn't bother me as much. But again, like this with the Skull Cave, I think they did the Skull Cave inside the Skull Cave. They did it amazingly.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, the setting is unreal. They've done that well. Okay,
So Phantom's dad. What do you reckon about
Elephant in
this?
the room, a ghost in the room.
Now, the problem I have with this is that I don't like it, but but the actor does an amazing job at it.
Yeah.
So he acts it brilliantly, and the way he interacts with it is really, really good. That it almost adds to it, which is disappointing, because if he did a bad job, you can just kind of wipe it off. But he did a really good job.
Yeah, I still didn't like it. I still don't like it. It's if he's going to appear, he should. I don't know. No, he shouldn't appear. It's not in the comic.
No, and I was thinking about that today. Whenever he's, or whenever 21's thinking about his forefathers, they're in the suit and they're in their prime of their life. They're not 67-year-old granddad.
Yeah.
But can we at least admit that he did a good job of the 20?
Oh yeah,
He's a fine actor, but whether that character should have been in the film, I don't think so.
Yeah, I would have preferred it if he did a poor job, because then I could have disliked it better.
And this is where, like, we talk about that. I mean, I think Billy Zane, I think his performance as the Phantom holds up. I think it's good.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this sort of stuff at the end, I'm sure. Some of the Kirsty Swanson as Diana, we're about to. There she is.
There she is.
Can I just quickly interrupt? This butler is actually named Falkmore, which is named after, obviously, the creators, Lee Falk and Ray Moore.
And I believe this scene was filmed at Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion.
The Playboy Mansion,
yes.
Yep. Every Phantom fan knows that fact.
So the internal's done there as well, because the externals are definitely the Playboy Mansion.
Take your word for that one, Stephen.
From your recollection, as I recall.
I thought Lily was good, because she's like that in the comics as well, especially in the early ones.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you had
Uncle Dave being a newspaper dude rather than a policeman.
Yeah, this is the sort of time where you start to go, gee, they're taking a few liberties, because the first time you watch it, in the fullness of time, it's probably not a big deal, but he's never a newspaperman in the comics at all. No. So it's still a stretch.
I believe he could have. I think he still could have been a cop who was investigating him, and it could have still worked, whether he was a newspaperman or a policeman.
Yeah, I agree. It's a strange choice. What did you think about Drax as he walks in with the cane and the cravat? Is that a tip of the hat to Lee Falk, you reckon? I think
yeah, I'd never thought of it like that.
Until you just said it.
What about Jimmy Wells? Like him?
The guy's a dick. He's great.
He's such a nothing character, which is the case in the comics as well. But at one point, and I don't think it's this scene, but at one point he just drinks his, has a line, drinks his glass and walks away. Conversation.
I like this bit. This bit here, ready?
bologna.
So she didn't put bologna in the sandwich, it was something else, but she's saying to Jimmy Wells that basically bologna. I love that response from him.
Yeah. I think that, the way they set this up with I refuse to shake your hand, but meanwhile I'm going to put my arm around the bloke I've got in my pocket. It establishes so quickly.
Your reporters have been poking their noses into my
who the bad guy is.
Yeah. Now
he's instantly dislikable. And I know some people have a crack at Treat Williams for overplaying the character of Xander Drax, but I actually really like him.
Great.
He makes it because of the over-top acting and his charisma, and he's a great bad guy. And we'll go along later, but the way he kills people is just so over the top, and this bit here. Oh, you've been talking about ex-wives. He's a funny bad guy.
Oh, that's a funny line that we just spoke over there too. How much does paper cost? 2 cents daily, 5 cents a week. No, the whole thing.
And I'll tell you something else.
I think we all know a Xander Drax in our own lives. Someone who is just immediately unlikable. He's a fun guy to not
Gentlemen, I
get
am
along.
grind. I'm only interested in the truth. And I've learned from a highly
See,
placed source at the
he could have
library,
been a
Drax is an
detective or a policeman, and this could still work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then Drax would have to have someone else in his, because the commissioner being in his payroll.
Yeah, it'd probably work. It would work better than if he was a newspaper.
So what's it mean?
Then he'd really want to get rid of Uncle Dave.
For a supernatural power.
I really like how Diana is still in the adventurer type gear. She doesn't care about she doesn't want to be a part of this or hoity-toity stuff. She just wants to, just no nonsense, get it done, and then by the end of the scene, she's heading off to Bengala.
But Drax believes in it.
I'll do it.
And this man must be taken seriously. I've been able to trace the origin of that spiderweb symbol to a place.
Just quickly with regard to the India versus Africa concept, King Comics Rises says on Twitter, yes, he thinks it should be set in Africa. Sujabir says that he likes the African concept more growing up with it, but the Indian concept worked with the movies.
It's probably just some wild goose chase anyway. That's right.
So later on in the movie, I actually did a bit of research about where some of the settings are actually placed and all that. So about the Devil's Vortex and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that later.
I want to go.
Now, I like Diana as I felt she did a great job. Christy Swanson, in my opinion, I think she did a great job as Diana.
I liked her through this stage of the movie. I didn't. Yeah, the last few scenes, I wasn't as old. Maybe by then we'd met Catherine Zeta-Jones. So Kirsty Swanson maybe didn't stack up. From an acting perspective, I must. Yeah, and here we go. The collusion in the back seat.
Yeah. But you see, I actually thought like Diana becomes. I actually like Diana better in the underwater cabin when she actually starts to fight the bad guys, and she's not as, like coming up, she gets punched out in one, in once, and I kind of like her more as we kind of see her.
This is, you see this seaplane. This is probably why I like the Phantom in the 30s. So, the Ray Moore stories set on an Orient Clipper or a seaplane of some description. And, we get the Sky Band coming in. And obviously we haven't mentioned it yet, but this movie is sort of half set around the Singh Brotherhood and half set around the Sky Band. Oh, meanwhile.
I love this. I love this.
Yeah, Jeremy's going, that's not going to work. How's he going to see the thing? And it took him into the library and went, did he just kill him? Well, he's at least made him blind, mate.
This is where this is the scene where you go, actually, this guy is pure evil.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when Jeremy knew that too. Oh, he really is a bad guy, Dad.
that microscope.
The microscope scheme is one of my favourites.
Yeah,
it would have just been easy to just pull out a gun, shoot him in the head. But
he never does that.
Every way he knocks off someone is over the top. It is dramatized, and
I don't see this as him killing the. I'm not even sure right now. The doctor. It's just blinding him. Hence the scene with the bit where he's about to snap the glasses. That's even worse. This is a guy who depends on his sight for his living and everything that he does.
Yeah.
He suddenly
has it taken away from him.
Oh, watch this. I love the glasses snap. That's a highlight.
Focus now. Well, I guess you won't be needing these anymore.
What a bastard!
And you got the music as well. That kind of highlights.
Oh, the score's great.
Just snapping into focus. It's so well done.
Yeah. Now I think Jeremy thinks that this is the way planes look like on the inside now. I don't think he's ever been on a plane, so he was actually quite amazed about the sea clipper type thing about being on the water.
Yeah.
So he hasn't read those stories yet, I don't think.
You're right. I'm leaving now.
Have
X-Band.
Has the radio ever needed to be hand pumped like that? I don't know.
This is real.
I wasn't alive in the 30s, Stan. I think you were. You might be able to tell us if that's how you listened to radios back then.
Forced down over the ocean.
Well, the way the Phantom listens to the radio is how I listen to it. I've got no idea how it was a broadcast or transmitted.
Yeah, maybe that would be the rest of the info because you lose that, but you do keep the main bit.
He'll do.
Now, the other lady in front of it, she had an M on her scarf, so they've all got their names on the scarf. And it's not just...
the initial.
Yeah.
I'm Diana Palmer.
So she's got an S, and then the lady that walked in before had an M.
Happy now? Get a good look.
Now, this is what I was saying before. I think Diana got knocked out just a little bit too easy there. Like, just, you know, it would have been nice if they kind of had, you know, like, I punched her and then she went to go at her and then someone, you know, knocked her out again. You know, give her a little bit of a fight. Diana's, in my opinion, the way I see Diana is a little bit stronger than that.
Yeah, but the Phantom gets gets a head knocked from behind every second comic. So I love this. I love that the Phantom just turns up. You know, Horton's turned around and boom, and he's in his armchair.
Yeah, but at the time I was iffy on this because he doesn't know. He's the unknown commander. He shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So at the time I was iffy on this, but
yeah,
it's grown on me over
he
the
does
25
know a little
years.
bit too much about it.
Yeah.
It's one of those changes which we were talking about. Is the change makes sense, but is it necessary? Now, a bit which we did talk over the top of is that Captain Norton goes, you know, what are you coming through the window? And the Phantom actually says, I like the window. Now, like, you know, for non-Phantom fans, they wouldn't understand that, but for the geeks, i.e. with Easter egg, they kind of go, oh, the window. Yes, the Phantom goes through the window. It's one of those iconic things.
Yeah, it does. It does hit a lot of the tropes, and we've had a podcast recently about what are some of the most important Phantom elements. This movie does nail quite a lot of them.
So with the changes,
Could have been good if you said as you were, Colonel. After he turned around, it was a bit.
Yeah.
So
So, for instance, with the changes, i.e., like the unknown commander and the eyes and all that, could have we lived with those a lot more if we didn't have the magical skulls?
Yes.
Oh, could live with them anyway.
It's the magical skulls that is the ultimate spoiler. So at this point, even the first time I'm watching it, at this point I'm sort of like, I'm really enjoying this movie.
Yeah.
Abduction, piracy, kidnapping. Ooh, feisty too.
Shut up.
and not going to lie, 19-year-old me enjoyed this movie a lot more in the next 5 minutes. And look, Diana tied to a chair, being talked to by a pair of kidnappers. That happened in every second Lee Falk story.
Yes, unfortunately. Now, there was a lot of, and throughout the movie then, and then also coming up, there's a lot of sexual drama, I guess you could almost call it. There's certain aspects of this movie where it feels like it might have originally been like an M movie, and then they've tried to cut some stuff out to make it a PG.
Yeah, it doesn't cross the line, but it goes along the way. It doesn't come close, but it goes along the way. I see what you mean, because I was thinking the same thing too. On parts that I hadn't picked up, over 25 years until I watched it again today.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like Devil. I think Devil is a real star. I kind of wish we saw more of him.
I was about to say exactly the same. It's a shame that this is sort of his one great scene.
Oh, when he chats to Hero.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking across the next 10 minutes or so.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been nice if he could have gone to New York.
Because he's always with the Phantom, no matter where he goes. And
yeah,
I actually like this as a really a clever plot move to expose Diana. Like Salah's like, I'm going to steal your boots. That's the sort of person I am. You know, I'm a bad guy. I'm going to take the clothes off your back.
But it also adds to the drama and the interaction between the two as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a scene that you liked as a 19-year-old, Dan?
The fact that you identified it so quickly suggests to me that as a 13-year-old, you didn't want it yourself.
So from memory, they were actually all actresses, or no, all
I hope
models.
they were.
All
Not just
models
bursting
from Brisbane.
Yeah, right. So what you're saying is they might live near me.
This is awesome. I like this.
It is. This is we're a ship full of women. I love that line.
Interesting. Excuse me.
And he just kind of like
Ignores her and goes to rescue her.
Yeah, like.
I bet you're better than
So this is a bit more about the sexual tension and all that as well.
I'm gonna get the chance to find out.
There's an old jungle saying, never point a gun at someone because it just might go off.
Jungle sayings. I love them.
Need them.
And being able to get rid of the gun without even looking at her.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then doing what every female bad guy does.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tie her up.
This is when I started to like Diana. Is when she punched him. And I'm like, yeah, that's my Diana.
Well, but you're not saying, oh, I don't like Salah because she got punched out so easily.
Diana Palmer.
So you know, it swings and roundabouts. I didn't have the problem with the punch earlier.
No.
Thanks. You've done a good job.
This bit here. This is Diana. You know, headstrong, do her own thing, and I like that.
But still needing to be drawn into the shadows.
Stop. Don't let him get off this ship. Now go.
And I like that, 1996 is Quill's treating the female roughneck as an absolute equal there.
Yeah.
Well, he's in charge, but he's not like, you can't do the job because you're a girl.
Yeah.
He's just one of the gang.
I think we should stick together, but I should go first.
Fine, go ahead. It's your rescue.
Yeah, it's your rescue. I just like that bit.
And he walks straight into a bull. Clays from Mouth, he could have written this.
Oh, shit. I do like how he's got he's exploiting the old injury.
Yeah. So there's a bit coming up which is actually very similar as a scene out of that Arnie Schwarzenegger does, where he kind of throws them all off like that.
What do you mean Arnie Schwarzenegger? Phantom does that.
Billy, I think Billy Zane's genuinely strong and great in this movie, but I don't think even he's throwing those three guys off his back.
Dog's a wolf.
I love that.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Again, it's one of those tip of the hat moments you're talking about, Jim. One of those Easter eggs in a sense that the hardcore fans get a bit proud of than the watchers.
And the fact they actually used a wolf.
Come on, get in.
Yeah.
You can fly a plane?
That's probably why he's not in those New York scenes.
Yeah. I just like that little shrug where he goes, "Can you fly a plane?" And he's like,
Of course you can.
The thing I like about this is that the devil shows his, I'm not sure it's a word, but his wolfness. He's a scary proposition.
Yeah.
I really like that. Now,
and again, the realism of this, they're not going to blow the plane up. But that was realistic. Firing all these handguns, you're not going to hit them, but you might jag a hole in the fuel tank.
Yeah.
Now, Stephen, you said that this bit and the jump was your favourite part. It was also my favourite part as well.
The jump is always memorable, but I've always got me stuff how a horse is running as fast as a plane.
Oh yeah, but
that still got me stuck.
Somehow been communicated by the wolf that this is the paddock you need to be in.
Oh, this is I just laugh at this. This is good. This is fun. This is silly. I like it.
So I'm not sure if people actually noticed, but there was a rock there, and you see Devil go past the rock, and then you see him take a step back, And so obviously he was trained to go to the rock and then bark.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just it's great.
It's fantastic training. It's a great scene. I don't think even Lee Falk or Lars from Ethian have ever tried hero and devil communicating to each other without the fanboy, have they? But it's not too far removed from what we wanted.
This whole scene is just like my favourite, and it almost makes the movie.
We're losing fuel. We've got to take her down.
And what's been good so far, there hasn't been too many lull spots. You know, they had the spot in the
it does keep
in the study or whatever, which was, you know, a little bit of dialogue there, but it's just bang, bang, bang. There's something happening all the time.
Trust me.
That must be crazy.
The trust me is important. The trust me comment is important. Now, I remember watching this bit. I'm not sure if you've ever watched Hey Hey at Saturday.
Yeah.
But Hey Hey at Saturday had Billy Zane on, and they actually showed this part. And though Hey Hey Saturday is known for its humour and obvious humour and all that, but it felt like Billy Zane was a bit offended about how they were making fun of him on this bit, because he felt really proud that the fact that he actually did this himself.
Yeah.
So it's
I jammed the stick.
it's just I remember that. Yeah.
Get ready. You can't.
We have to.
Now you said before that trust me was important. What's the importance there? You know?
So, as Kit Walker, he says it again later on in the movie, which helps Diana recognise that that Kit Walker and the Phantom is the same. Now,
I was put the hand on the hips. Does it? Yeah. Anyway,
I know Billy Zane did this himself, but I'm not sure if
with Kirsty.
Kirsty did it.
With Kirsty or Christy? Diana.
Yeah, and that's the bit where suddenly the horse is somehow well in front of the.
Yeah, you can see a couple there.
And this, I accept the proper explosion for this. There was fuel everywhere, Stephen. What did you want?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't saying yay or nay. My comment is that the way the explosions are done, like the actual graphics of the explosions, haven't dated well.
Now, there was another bit when she goes, "Oh, I can't believe we did that," and then he goes, "Yeah, neither can I."
It just shows that he's a human. I just put out on Twitter about what do you think of the airplane to horse jump scene. Both Susan Chabert said it's amazing the way it was filmed. And King Comics Rises are also big.
Yeah, bad guys really need to go to shooting school.
They went to the same school as Stormtroopers.
And every good action movie has a car chase. And this is it.
Oh no, there's a better car chase comes up, I reckon.
In the New York Park.
Oh, that whole sequence. This is really good too, though. Like, it's a good opportunity to see what it's like in the jungle, and then again in the concrete jungle.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I got friends in these woods.
Oh, the rope people, I love it.
Now, the rope people and the Banda are the only two tribes that feature both in the movie and in the comics and newspaper.
Did they actually mention the Banda by name in the movie?
You can see the harnesses under their jumpers here, but otherwise the whole sequence of the rope people capturing men off horses going past, that is great from Lee Falk, and I love it.
Yeah. I like this bit coming up here, where she starts to faint.
You okay?
Yeah.
I just feel a little dizzy.
Must be the humidity.
What you worried about? Come on.
I love that. I remember everyone in the cinema laughing at that.
And Yeah, look at these beaches. Like, it's filmed in Thailand, a lot of this, and I love these. Whether you want to be set in Africa or India, that you can see the Golden Beach of Kilauea. Something like that.
Now there has been a few cuts of scenes. I would recommend, if you read the book, you do actually get an understanding of, and you actually do get the cut scenes from here to the plane crash.
What did you think of the Skull Cave, the way that it was portrayed just now?
Yeah.
I prefer the inside of the Skull Cave, but I do like the waterfall. I think the waterfall was good.
That was really good. Yeah, agree with both of those. The outside looks like a paper mache.
Yeah, but the inside is amazing.
This is all incredible.
Mm.
When I was looking for the images of the Skull Cave for the poll, and I saw that one, so that's rubbish. I'd forgot it was coming from the movie. Watching it, that's where that was from.
I like that we see that he's got a minor treasure room. It's not labelled as such, but every Phantom fan knows that obviously that's where he is.
We've got the skull throne.
Chain.
Yeah. Now this is the prototype for every first date, right? First date, a chase, a rescue, a sky jump, a trot along a beautiful beach, and then you got to give him a black pearl necklace. Now, can anyone top that?
Maybe with West Australian money, mate, not over here on the East Coast.
Why again? That's what passes for humor in the jungle, Diana. Captain Horton, Diana Palmer.
Watch the Phantom's reaction to that. To the kiss on the hand. He crosses the old
first the mouth goes down, and here's your shirt.
And this bit here.
No smoking in the Skull Cave.
Were you just cheering in your seat, wearing Tim?
Yeah. I remember when they did the no smoking in the Skull Cave, everyone just started laughing as well.
Yep.
I still understand why they did it, but I think Horton and the Phantom, they know each other too well.
Well, somebody say something.
You're mixed up with the Sang Brotherhood, Diana.
It makes sense from a movie perspective.
Yeah.
An ancient order of evil.
Yeah, look at
it would have cut down the whole going to the Jungle Patrol with the safe and stuff. It kind of keeps the movie moving.
Would have been clunky in them. Yeah.
That's true.
Captain, I want you to take her back. Use every man at your disposal. Give her all the protection she needs.
Wait a minute, that's it?
This
You're
is
just gonna
great.
send me away?
I'm afraid so.
No one sends Diana away.
Job, and that's what I'm gonna do.
No one argues with the Phantom, so
No.
who's going to win?
Wait a second.
Diana. Nobody argues with the Phantom and wins.
Old Jungle saying.
Bang.
We've heard, what is that, 3 old jungle sayings now?
Oh, at least.
Might be 2, but
no, 3 plus the no smoking.
Yeah.
The traffic here, my word was what? They're all driving the same way. Where's the road rules? They're just maniacs.
I used a little toothpaste on it.
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
I am in such a good mood right now. I almost hate to mention this. The happy.
The old let's show the headline on the TV to catch up on her. Really good.
Something you didn't count on.
Oh.
Again, this adds to the mysteriousness of the Phantom lore as well with this bit.
The belt, yes.
And the fact that he tried to kill him.
He's real, and he won't die. I know I killed him once, and he isn't dead.
That doesn't make sense.
Look, I brought it to prove it.
I think everyone who's not a fan in the movie theater was thinking the same thing as him.
See this hole? That's where I stuck him with a 12-inch blade.
You stabbed him in the back. I've underestimated you, Quill.
Right up to the hilt.
He's liking me more and more.
All right.
The Phantom helped Diana to escape. I think he's in love with her.
Oh, really? This is getting more interesting by the
Is
minute.
this-
Why do you say that?
I'm not wrong in saying that this is one of Catherine Zeta-Jones' first like real breakout. Am I?
Yeah. Before this, she was Indiana Jones Chronicles, and I think was it the same director or someone who worked on those also worked on this. Simon Winster.
Simon Winster earmarked her for it. I like this bit because this bit helps identify that Mr. Walker and the Phantom is the same person.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. That was Zeta-Jones' real first. Because I think after this, she got the movie The Entrapment, which was
yes.
Then went went bananas after that.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is they should have had more laser beams in this film.
I think the biggest gripe you have with the movie is the amount of laser beams they have in the film.
They just didn't put them in the right way, Steve. Paying for the cab in Jules and just stay here. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeremy was wondering, is he a bad guy? No. You're talking about the taxi fellas. No, mate, he drives a taxi.
He's like, just take the lot.
And I'm sure they'll secure your services for the rest of the day. So wait here.
I like the taxi driver.
I'm never kidding.
Yeah.
He's a nice addition.
Yeah. Yep. It gives Kit Walker a friend in New York.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a question for you guys as we watch this scene here. We've all said that the skulls we don't like the supernatural element of it. Is there a way the skulls...
I never said that. You two said it. Okay. I actually don't mind it. It's not a deal breaker for me.
Okay, so for me and Dan, so this is a question for you, Dan. Could have the skulls been used in another way where it's less supernatural and it would have worked better in a Phantom movie?
Yep. Somehow it solves War in the Jungle. It somehow getting the three skulls back together prevents the Lolongo from attacking the Wembesi, something like that. That would be, that's the America or Xander Drax in this case taking three things that he wants just for personal collection or for personal wealth, not the supernatural power, and that's just colonialism and selfishness and collectorism and whatever. And the Phantom gets those back so that the Wembesi and Lolongo.
We shall succeed where they have
failed. You got any ideas, Stephen?
Well, I hadn't really thought of it too much, but yeah, it's either having the skulls, having the laser beam wasn't like I said, wasn't a deal breaker. It's not my favorite thing in the movie. Having the skull ring shoot a laser beam out, I really don't like that.
That was the shark that they jumped over.
Yeah. But to your question about actually using the skulls in a different way, I hadn't never thought of it, and I don't know. Come to me next week and I might have an idea.
I'll be interested in our listeners if you can think of a better way that the skulls could be used in a less supernatural way for the Phantom and that to still make the movie work. I'll be interested in hear what people can think of a better way.
I'll put your question on Twitter right now, Germ, and see if anyone gets back to us before the end of the movie.
Because I've had a bit of a think about it, and I couldn't really think of a better way. I'm not an English teacher. I'm not a writer.
And my eldest came in just when this scene was happening and thought, "Oh, geez, this film's violent." And Jamie was all right, but I love it. He just killed the guy. Oh my God.
Yeah. But this is the thing that he works really good is he's just I love his.
That's a bastard.
Yeah, just the way he does it. Everything's over the top. Everything's dramatized. He's a good guy. It's like, we'll do it at night time. No, let's do it now. Let's do it now.
And I would appreciate it if you
like a big kid.
Policeman away until I'm done.
And then this bit here, where he spots the little damage to the wall.
Oh my goodness! I've put a mark in the wall.
Bugger.
Yeah.
Hey there, found you. Page one girl.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Now, does this fella come back after this scene at all?
Yes. Oh no.
He's just like cordial.
He's a real doofus.
This is the one where he just walks away from a conversation and there's nothing.
Well, no, he says the most important part about where they can find the movie, where they can find the skull.
It's
we don't see him for the rest of the movie.
It's the best thing he does all movie.
Yeah. So I chuckled when he just darted in, even though he wasn't invited.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Years at least.
6, to be exact. Now, I read about what happened. Are you all right?
Oh, I'm fine. It started
Now,
out bad.
what I like about this is that
By the by,
it establishes
so
the budding romance between them and the fact that they knew each other before, and it was done really, really quickly. Like it was done in here and the taxi ride over, and then all of a sudden okay, they were friends or close friends or romantically involved before without knowing. So it's I thought it was clever storytelling how they were able to establish that very quickly.
What about Kit Walker here appearing? We can see his eyes. Like we outside.
I really didn't like it. I don't like seeing his eyes. Not having any glasses or anything. More. Sorry, no, that's the pose where I reckon Donna's figured it out. Or her brain, as you can see, her brain starts ticking. But yeah, not having the dark glasses and having his eyes shielded, I really don't like that much more than it's hard for me to say. The mask without seeing the eyes, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Having him without the dark glasses, I do mind.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. At the time, it didn't bother me, but the more and more I watch this, and the longer I'm, a grumpy old fan, it bothers me more. And I'm with you, Stephen. Is the eyes showing through the mask? I don't have a problem with even now. The glasses not having the glasses now is an issue.
Because he starts off with the glasses, and why couldn't he keep it on? But of course, he's got he'd be putting glasses on dark glasses on someone that takes away so much of the expression. And that was one of the big critiques about the Blues Brothers back in the day, is you're putting these sunglasses on John Belushi when his face is his money, and the way that he can express things with his eyes and his eyebrows. But yet that's my favourite movie that's ever made. So I reckon Billy could have still done it with the sunnies on, or with the dark glasses.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is the bit where I was telling about how the taxi scene adds to the history between the two.
Yeah, it's character development. And after all the action that we've had, we just need a little bit of time just for lull and a bit of character development.
Yeah, it establishes the characters and
it never goes for too long. It always goes for just long enough, and then bang, something else is going to happen.
Skull has been lost. It's just been misplaced.
Nothing. I don't feel anything drags in this movie.
And so this bit was filmed in Brisbane.
Yes.
And this is the building I went and watched Sammy J perform his show.
Hero Complex.
Now, question: Is this Phantom-like?
No, it's not. It's the smash and grab. No.
I'll take that, thank you.
He should have what? I don't know how that could have been turned around, but it needed to be turned around somehow. So the bad guy smashed it.
Yeah.
Museum security, everything's under control. Listen, folks, free cake and sandwiches are being served in the hall.
It does establish him as a man of action, but yeah.
Yeah, just get in there and do it.
Bye-bye.
Jeremy's hey, that's security. He's laughing.
I like this bit. And there's the other bit like, why have you done this? Oh, match my drapes, and the interaction between
a little bit later on,
and Drax is really good. Now, this is the moment as a 12-year-old I was struggling with, and as a hardcore fan, 25 years later, this is where I start rolling my eyes. From this moment onwards, this is
when the supernatural is. We talked about the eyes glowing right in the opening scene, but this is where you go, no, this is supernatural. And you start to, what are we, a bit over an hour into the film? It goes a bit downhill.
Yeah, this is the moment where it just loses me. Now, I've paused this map and I've opened up Google and it took me probably about 20-30 minutes.
Yeah.
And this is called the Andaman Sea, which is the west coast of Malaysia. And the islands is called the Andaman Islands and the Nicobar Islands, which is, as you can see, kind of in between India and between Malaysia. So that's where that's pointing to.
Right.
What's got me stuffed is the next bit. Like he knows where it all is, and he's just found out where it is, and now he's got coordinates that he has to jot down and find exactly where it is. He's just found out where it is. That gets me a little bit stuffed.
And to be honest, that is an almost dead ringer. Basically, it is a dead ringer of that whole region.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He didn't need to go back to another map and say these coordinates. So, yeah.
Andy to have paid a taxi driver a hand.
Yes.
My boy was still going on about the road rules. He just darted across the traffic. He didn't even look.
Now this is the bit,
This
the
is great.
interaction between the
What's your
two.
name? Why do you want that skull so badly?
Kid Walker.
Ah, and who is Kit Walker?
I am.
And what about the skull?
That'll go well with my drapes.
Ah, cute. You're very cute, Mr. Walker. Fortunately, I have a cure for that.
Stop it! Don't hurt him.
Well, if he's so cute and he's got brass knucks, why isn't he going to hit him in the face?
Diana, are you sweet on Mr. Walker? I thought you were
'Cause that way he
on a
can-
jungle vine somewhere.
Yeah.
How did you?
He's got a cure for cuteness, so hit him in the face. Why don't you hit him in the guts?
I did.
Sal's got all the latest gossip on 2 continents.
Deny it. He's in love with you, and you're nuts about him. From the moment he came flying down that laundry chute, you were hooked.
Kismet in the jungle.
You're despicable. You're just jealous. Now I'm one up on you.
Ladies.
See, like you see
Half
how
an hour, she doesn't knock out.
you see how like they held Diana back. That's what I was saying before. It would have been good if like Sala hit him at the beginning, someone held him back, and then she got knocked out. Just would have showed a little bit more fight for Diana, in my opinion.
Against this navigational chart, we will know the location of the 3rd skull.
You already know that.
No, we know because Jerm spent 25 minutes on Google. He's got
No, he just saw the map. He had pinpointed it. The laser pointed straight to a map. Exactly where it needed to go. He even said it where it had to go. I didn't see any coordinates on that map either.
So, one thing, should the bad guys stay hit or knocked out a little bit longer?
No,
Well, he
it's
didn't really hit
realistic.
him. He just kind of moved him. He didn't
Bought
really hit
himself
him.
some time. He bought himself. He would have needed to knock him out for a lot longer if he's actually getting changed into his Phantom suit right now.
No, he's just Supermaning it. It's just underneath his shirt.
I did like
Yeah,
this little.
but have you tried to take off his shirt and tie? You can't be doing that. they dress
Keep
well
buttons
in the
intact.
70s.
Yeah.
Oh, even on the last day of term, Steve, I'm not getting my scruples off that.
Now, I would have preferred that bit there, where he got his legs around the 2 guys. He could have done the old Cy Barry pose where he grabs their 2 heads and knocks them down up.
Knocks him rather than leg scissors, yeah.
Yeah, that could have been cool.
Just would have been a little bit more iconic.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I do like the whole lift scene and stuff like that. It was just really clever.
We've had cause to talk with someone about which shade of purple the Phantom suit should be recently, and I actually really like the shade of purple that the Phantom suit. For situations like that, like in the dark and the shadows, this shade of purple actually camouflages really well.
Yeah, that's actually a question that Jeremy asked me today watching you. Why is he purple?
Yeah.
And I kind of laughed because he actually asked it while he was in the jungle. Well, think about it, mate. He's in the jungle. He goes, oh, yeah, to blend in. And I'm going, Think about that for just another moment. Oh, he stands out. And well, I wanted to watch the movie, but I wanted to really talk about, he'll stand out in the newspaper strips and stuff like that. When he's in the jungle, you don't want him to stand out, you want him to blend in. Whereas here, that shade of purple, maybe that does work with the shadow, and so maybe it works well in the jungle as well, even though...
It's a conversation for a different time, but I actually think purple is a good camouflage colour for the jungle.
If it's dark enough.
If it's dark enough, yeah.
Now, before they talked about Devil's Vortex, now I googled Devil's Vortex.
Now she knows.
I think it's a song and not actually a known area. But in saying that, the Andaman Sea is quite notorious with planes and ships going missing. So
I love this.
You could argue. Yeah.
That's great research, Jim. I love this scene. 1930s elevator, you see him through the grate there, and now just the gun slide down the elevator shaft. Boots smoking as he goes.
It is great.
And he gets there seconds after the elevator to roll out.
The elevators, it's a very underappreciated scene.
Yeah.
Oh, not from a fan. Cool. Yeah. Jeez, he comes close. How does he get through this? Bloody hell. And these guys just, that's a fan. Okay, no worries. That always made me chuckle, having those three guys in the background just not reacting as this dude in purple rolls out.
There's a bit coming up. I like when he knocks the lady and she drops her purse. And he stops.
Oh, sorry.
Picks it up, so gives it back to her. It's just
a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't have to have that in this scene at all. But you only put it in to establish what sort of guy you've got here. And I love this. He jumps in the cab and is surprised when the driver doesn't recognise him.
Oh, God. Take my money, but don't hurt me. Al, take it easy. I'm a friend of Kit Walker's. I need your help. No.
He's like, oh, bugger, I've got to tell him. Hang on.
I like this. The jumping on the cars.
Yeah.
Now, when I saw this,
the car chase I was referring to earlier. Like he's chasing a car by running across cars.
When I saw as the jumping on the roof cars and all that, I always wanted to do that. Like jump from car roof to car roof. It's a fun.
I found a way for him to have a horseback race.
You think that did that movie True Lies come out before or after the Phantom? And they came out after. Did they reckon they got the horse through the city scene from here?
It's such a fun scene. Like you've got
True Lies was first, 94.
Like you've got the jumps with the bikes and they've got that real wailing as well. It's
music's great again.
What's back there? So.
Wonder how hard it would be to jump like that in bikes like that.
On purpose and not get hurt?
They're fairly heavy bikes.
This is where he would have entered.
They're not little dirt bikes or.
No. I like this.
Yeah.
Jeremy goes, oh, stripes! I'm thinking, yeah. You started reading the Isle of Eden story. Annual now.
Annual.
Yeah.
It's this affinity with animals again. Yeah. It just touches so many things to make you go, the writers at the end of the day, I know they're much maligned for things that we've mentioned already and we'll continue to mention because we're going to critique, but they got a lot of things right. They threw things in that were good.
Stop! Hold it right there! Get in!
Again, he's a guy who forms good relationships.
Yep. very quickly.
This is kind of like the part where Sailor starts to change, I've noticed.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Why are you so mean? Don't you care about
This is the lamest line ever.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
All right,
You
everybody
figure
just
it
shut
out.
up.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't mind the you figure it out. The bit that I thought was lame was the why are you so mean? That was the
Oh,
part.
maybe the combination of the two. Why you mean you figure it out? Oh, come on. Come
Oh
on.
yeah, I like the you
Spoken
figure
to
it
someone
out.
who teaches
I didn't like
teenage
the
girls.
first
Yeah, you might be right.
A man named Quill has a
Now,
gun belt just like the one I wear.
bit. This bit, it's clumsy,
Yeah.
but it's important, and then the humor saves it in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it tells the story about how Quill killed him and stuff like that. But
Maybe I can get that.
and then like when he says, "Oh, you're talking to me
Don't
now,"
worry, I'll catch him.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
saves-
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, but it's important.
Okay, what about that moment? Should the Phantom's ghost dad still have a ring on? Or has he already passed that on?
Yeah.
I like that. Hold on to your hat or whatever.
I've been wondering the same thing too, Dan, and I don't have an answer.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
What about you? What about you, Dan? Should it have been passed on?
Oh, look, if I'm going to jump one way or the other, yes, keep the ring on. At least he proves he's a man.
Yeah.
It identifies the fact that he's the Phantom as well.
Yeah.
Now, I googled New York to the Andaman Islands or to Thailand, and
He really has done his research today.
No wonder it took you 3 hours to watch the movie.
It takes a day, like literally 24 hours in today's society. Now, how is it possible for the Phantom to stay like that, hanging onto the pontoon for a whole day?
He hasn't laid down. He just puts himself on.
They'd have to land 2 or 3 times to refuel so that they could fly that far.
Yeah, so I was wondering, would have it made it
I love how Drax is just having a cuppa.
And not in a sippy cup or anything.
No. It's just,
would have it made it more believable if it was a larger plane and the Phantom could have snuck into like the luggage department or something like that?
It might have been more believable, but this is, you've done some deep dive Googling to map out and chart where this in terms of the movie as it's seen. It could be, I like it. I like him clinging to the outside of a small plane.
yeah. Didn't even think about it. So, of course, in real life, they would have needed to refuel. The plane wouldn't have made it in one trip and all that sort of stuff. But if you're thinking about that when you're watching the movie, well, the movie hasn't done its job.
It's iconic, the Phantom holding on to it, and it's, but it just, I don't know. So in the Andaman Islands, there is a lot of the islands of volcanoes. There's a lot of, it's right where the tectonic plates are joined between the Euro-Asian plate and the Indian, Australian, Oceania one as well. So there is a lot of volcanoes and stuff like that, and that's why a lot of planes and ships go missing, even to this day. I read somewhere that there was a recent one in 2005 that disappeared in that region. Apparently, Billy Zane also did that bit as well, as the actual landing and then jumping off it as well. And I like this bit here, where his head pops up just for a second.
Yeah.
Does it remind you? There was another Billy Zane movie, which I'm sure he does something similar.
Yeah, just that there.
Dead Calm, I reckon.
Dead Calm. Yeah, that's what I thought. I just remember that from the promo shoots of the movie or something like that. But because I don't think I've actually seen Dead Calm, or maybe I have. They just seem very familiar.
The scenery used in the movie is amazing. They used great locations.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did.
So from memory, the underground cavern, which we're about to see now, was actually the biggest set built in Australia for a movie at the time.
Yeah, so this was at Movie World on the Gold Coast, and unfortunately, they, you know, as happens at the end of most movies, they completely dismantled the set, and very few pieces of it actually were able to be collected. I only really know of the submarine, which you know, a friend of the podcast, Bradley Peach, has got in his backyard. And a few knickknacks from walls and that sort of thing that I've ever seen in collectors or collections, I should say. You may know of a few.
I know of a few coins, and I've seen a few chains and stuff like that. One of the problems is there was no provenance done with a lot of it. So I know Gary Horn's got one of the Pan Am cups.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah.
Is mine.
Your dreams.
What we've just missed like in the last minute or so, you know how Salah takes the hand that's offered to help get off the boat. Dana just, I'm getting off this by myself. There was something else that.
But the girls start to come together in this.
Yeah. So are the pirates too campy?
Well, this guy in the striped shirt looks like Smee from Hook.
Yeah,
and I think there's another one that actually looks like Captain Hook, except he doesn't have a hook for a hand.
Yeah. Now, and the thing that I said before, if this was a Today movie, would this be kind of like around here be like the end of the first one, and then the second one be the adventure underneath? Would they make 2 movies out of it? Or would they just flesh it out to a 2-hour?
No. I don't see this story working as a...
No, not up to here as a
not like Avengers Endgame or Avengers whatever that one was. Yeah.
I also do like how the Phantom is in the shadows. You know, that's where we like the Phantom in shadows.
And his movement is
like a jungle cat.
He does it well. He is. He's very lithe. He's sleek. He does it well, Billy Zane.
It would have been better if he could knock out a bad guy or two, like, you know, like get behind and knock him out.
Yeah, you're right. Just you sneak up on 3 or 4 sentries on his way through, and move past each one.
Now let me see.
Dispose of
it. Shang Tsung.
Last time we had visitors here below the ocean.
Finish him.
Deep in the bar.
Now, that's for any Mortal Kombat fans who Mortal Kombat movie.
Never.
Is this the point where Drax and Quill become irrelevant?
It's a weird third villain to have in, like they've almost. It's a weird confluence of videos. Of villains.
Xander Drax begins and ends with the letter
X. Because he almost becomes. Yeah, I thought that was funny, but it almost becomes. Almost become irrelevant. And I know they've still got the scene with the skulls, but
yeah, I understand what you were saying there before, Germ, about maybe you break it so that the Sing Pirates are like we finally get to for the second movie. There'd have to be a different way of moving between the two, so you still have the big conclusion for the first film. But I certainly understand, like they've tried to squeeze too many bad guys in a sense.
And but I don't mind it because now the bad guys are at war with each other. Who's going to be the big dog? Who's going to? It's a power struggle between Drax. Yeah. Quill knows that he's second fiddle to Drax, but it's this power struggle between Quill and Kevin Singh.
Yeah, but the Sing Pirates are now appearing for the first time an hour and a half into the film.
Yeah.
There's not even a hint of them really, other than there's a symbol.
There's the we knew that they were going to come along because of the symbol that was always leading towards it. And here's the big
symbol,
reveal.
but we haven't actually seen the characters.
No,
well, not even behind the scenes.
That's all right. You don't need to see them until we need to.
Well, I stand for the new order of things, modern and up to date. Just the man to carry our cause into the 20th century.
Silence! You have no bargaining power with me, Mr. New York City.
At the moment, everyone's going, you know what, this guy's a bit of a tosspot. Oh, I like this new villain who's going to call him a tosspot.
Besides, you don't have the full skull.
And the full skull. Yeah. First time we hear about that.
And Quill.
Drax. What the hell? I'm not Drax, Quill.
And without it, you've wasted your time.
What fourth bloody skull?
So coming up to the second bit of swearing from my memory.
Wait just a minute. If anything happens to us, others will come looking. They know where we are. You'll have an entire army down your throats. Now, do you really want that to happen?
Idiot mafia guy.
That's bullshit. Nobody knows where we are.
What are you doing? Shut up!
Spirit of adventure, my ass. It's every man for himself. Okay, Kebby, you get me out of here, or else you really gonna sleep with the fishes. Now, what are you gonna say about that?
This is great.
In the bowl.
Yeah.
In the bowl.
All the pirates know. Oh,
Now, it's campy, but I like it.
Yeah, it's gold.
I liked it as a 12-year-old. Or a 13-year-old.
But you just want to do that to some of your problems every now and then. You just, where's me, Ken? Was it? In the ball, or whatever he said.
Punching 50 meters across the room.
I am Quill, a loyal follower and soldier. Look, I once killed the Phantom.
I love this line.
The club. Many of us have killed him over the years.
Many of us have killed the Phantom.
Hey, I can see this Phantom thing really strikes a nerve. In that case, you are gonna love this. She's his girlfriend. Bring her here.
Drax is great, you know, thinking about all the power and all that, and then doesn't even think about, oh, yeah, you can actually do that with women as well. It just doesn't occur to him.
Phantom has good teeth.
Good. Personal pleasure. I overlooked that one. So, what do you say, Cowboy Sang? The girl for the skull, and I'm out of your hair.
He really does look like he belongs on Broadway, Treat.
Yeah. But what's interesting is I've seen a couple of other movies and shows with him in, and he's like that even in them as well.
Yeah, right.
That's what you get, is it?
Yeah. Now, this whole bit here, it's awesome, you know, shooting the swords out of the hands, but it's so silly.
I like it. It gives it that old swashbuckling movie feel. Like,
no, I'm a big fan, and it's not like he keeps shooting forever. He runs out of bullets and is like, righto, now I need to headbutt and kick some heads.
Why did this guy ever pick up the skull? Got me stuffed. It just didn't.
Yeah. I actually think the girls do this fight scene really well.
Yep. Yeah, everyone's there fighting on their merits, and the girls hold their own.
Yeah. This is good. I like the reaction or the interaction between the two of them.
Yeah. And that moment of realization that you're not a ghost.
He's Captain Hook.
He does have the tri-hack. Hold on.
I like this. My fight! Get out of here!
Yeah, I
he's so ruthless. He's going to kill his own fella. Make sure that he can kill him.
He's a great bad guy. And you're right. Everyone is yeah. Now, at first, I didn't like the fact that he knew the secret, which we're about to hear in the first bit. But the more I watch it and the more I think about it, it adds to the lore for a new fan.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he didn't know the secret until just then. He saw the worried look on the Phantom's face. Yeah. That's why I've read it, is that he didn't realise that he wasn't a ghost until just then when he could see.
I agree. I've got no problem. You know, like we've talked to before about it's only the family who knows the Phantom's a real man. I don't mind someone in their last 30 seconds of life finding it out.
Yeah, but it adds to the lore for the new fan.
Yeah.
And I think you have to do that where you But you got to add those type of things during the story for the new fan as well.
Yeah.
And I like the shark. I like the shark attack eating the bad guy.
Well, that's
Sea
really
bass with laser beams.
Yeah. Now, this here, the submarine. You talked about the submarine before, so can I just put it out there that I've made out of my wife?
You didn't have to put that out there, to tell you the truth, but
I want to. So for those who back in 2014, there was a museum exhibition featuring the restored version of this submarine. And then I want to put it out there again. My daughter was actually conceived on that weekend.
Oh, fuck, I thought you were going to say in the submarine.
No, that would have been good. I wish it was.
So people who say it looks a bit unrealistic that you could fit both Christy Swanson and Catherine Zeta-Jones in the submarine, you're here to tell us that no, two people.
Yep, I got a photo. I believe I actually have
this is getting worse. You got a photo of what?
of myself and my wife in the submarine. I don't believe we were kissing at that stage.
This feels like it is an absolute like panel for panel reproduction of something that happened
in the first Phantom story where he shoots Diana.
He looks to shoot it away
out of the vortex and stuff like that. There's a lot of very similar panels,
which is good. You know, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then they go and do this sort of thing with the skulls. Why do you do it?
Like this bit here,
had to bring in a bit of Hollywood
with Phil and Ben. Yeah. He's still going for that same sort of side.
So like this bit's good, but then it comes to this bit.
This is the worst bit.
What the hell is going on?
But yeah, the fight scene between the Quill and the Phantom is good.
It is.
And it's a realistic fight scene as well. Like it's a real wrestle, hand-to-hand type of one.
And meanwhile, you've got the cutting to the back and forth to this.
You know, Drax does it so well.
Like they could have. Like I reckon if they could rewrite it a bit, where it's not so supernatural, I think it would have worked a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
But Jeremy liked it. He thought, "Whoa!"
These skulls are more powerful than I ever imagined. I've harnessed the energy of the sun. Who needs a fourth skull?
I do.
I do.
And I know where it is.
I like the tension build up.
Jeremy had a pick. He knew what the fourth spell was going to be.
Understood what that meant until.
So if a 7-year-old can pick it.
What a cheap jungle trip.
The tension with the chain unrolling and everything is good.
Yeah. Yeah, this really was the moment that, as I said at the start about a bad taste in the mouth, this is where all of that bad taste comes from. Just shooting back and
Now,
do you like how he does the smooth criminal bit? You know, the lean forward on the thing.
And I do like how he says, you know, the ring for protection. Like, I do like how he makes. I like how he makes mention of, you know, the ring is for protection, but I just
Now, had the face, the Phantom face and Phantom, like the Phantom punch, that iconic pose with the fist up there next to the profile of the Phantom, was that already a big thing back in the 1996?
Yeah.
Because that's really where that shot's coming from, isn't it?
Glenn Ford did it a lot on posters and on some, what do you call it? On some comic. I think it's 1004, which is the Mob. I believe the story might be.
Except it wasn't was that Mr. Walker or was it?
I can't remember that bit, but yeah.
End of the
But yeah, you know, you're right. And that's definitely before the movie.
So, yeah, as you may have mentioned before, like the coming out of the vortex, the Phantom swimming behind it. There's a lot of Easter eggs for past Phantom stories and stuff, which it does a lot right. There's some great actors, the fight scenes and the moments. And like this here where they retell the oath and the legacy is really good.
Yeah, and I guess I'd go back to what I said at the start, that it just feels a bit late in the film.
But we have this at the beginning, and we have it all throughout the story, and now we've got it again. I like how they keep...
It's important. Now, with the Phantom suit there, you know, got the, well, for lack of a better word, latex or rubber cowl, and it seems like more material in the body. Would you prefer to see it in one material for the whole suit, or
No,
do
I
you think
like
this
it.
works?
I think it probably works
For the
better
scenes
than a
and
one
stuff?
piece.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with this.
Would you prefer? So you don't mind it being the material, then the latex, or would you prefer being one or the other?
Yeah, I actually, to be honest, I actually thought the costume works well. I like the costume better as I become an old crusty old fan.
Yeah. And once
And
again,
I like this bit.
Yeah, Jeremy really likes it. How all the Greys, all the previous fans have got something there, and so now he's got the belt. Yeah, even my boy thought that was a really good touch.
Oh, sure. He just likes to call me that.
It's a real human side of both characters.
Yeah.
And we see Devil again. I wish, and the Devil couldn't have hold on to the pontoon with the Phantom as well, but it would have been nice to see him more often.
Yeah.
And I don't mind this bit.
You don't mind or you don't like? Because I don't like.
I do. Again, it's he plays the part really well, which unfortunately adds to the story and to the movie. If he did it poorly, it would have been really good to not like it.
I don't like this bit that we take off his mark. Is she still close enough that she can still see the Phantom and realise that it's... When I say she, I'm talking about Sala here.
Yeah. I don't know. All the romantics like the part though. And I like the line that comes up is a classic line.
Everyone's got perfect hair when they take off their masks or their hats or whatever. Like earlier in the plane when Sala had her thing taken off.
But I think also like where he says, take off your mask, kid.
You know, I'm not really permitted to reveal.
I think it sets up for a sequel, but it also sets up that she knows they've the romance, and it does add a lot to the character.
Yeah,
it's
good.
His hair's not perfect, Steve.
Who's that?
For
the woman I intend to marry.
not too bad.
Compared to Steve's or mine, it pretty well is.
No one refuses the Phantom. One of the best lines in the whole movie.
It does make you wish we had seen a sequel, doesn't it? Like it's so sad for it. I know we all know that there was contracts or ideas or storylines and whatever. It's such a shame it never progressed.
Yeah. So, Christy Swanson and Billy Zane were both contract for 2 sequels. Now, another thing.
Crash into a building or a rock at some point. That one.
Well, Sala had a whole bunch of them. She had a whole fleet of them.
Now, I like how the 20th Phantom does this wrap up here, because he's got that great voice, which
this is old Moz's job.
I can get some rest.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I don't mind.
We need Phantom Head Peak here.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would have been one of those little Easter eggs as well. Now,
thank you, Simon Windsor.
There's a bit coming up just here. Where is it? Here. Now, where it just mentions Lee Falk.
Yeah.
Now, Marvel did something similar at the start of their movies where they just gave credit to Stan Lee, and they didn't. And then later on, after the backlash, they gave credits to Jack Kirby. So it would have been nice to see creators created by Lee Falk and Ray Moore.
Yeah, you're probably right. Lee Falk is the creator that is synonymous with the Phantom, and maybe that's unfair to Ray Moore in particular as the first artist. Yeah, you're right. It would be nice to see at least some reference to Ray Moore there.
Yeah. So
there's also been backlash with Batman as well, like Bob Kane and the other guy is.
Yeah. So if you read certain interviews with from Claire Moore, who was the widow or who was the wife of Ray Moore, she talks about how Ray Moore did a lot more creating who the Phantom is than what he was actually credited for.
Yeah.
So now we're seeing a lot of scenes of scenery, I guess you would call it. Is that good, or would we like to see something more phantomy? Like whether it was, like comic strips or just something that gives a bit more of a nod to the Phantom in a comic element, or are we happy with the scenery?
I think having these sort of shots suits the film, and the way that the whole tone of the film has been, and then when it comes to back to showing the Phantom, just
I do like this bit.
Bring down again. Here, when the music changes and that sort of stuff, this is where you'd put in like strips, and maybe you'd use strips from the stories that they've lifted scenes from. And even put in the first strip where you got Diana boxing, and then and have strips of Sala and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that would be similar to what Marvel's done, I suppose, with their opening sequences and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It would be like we talked about. Some of the scenes are almost panel for panel from some of the stories, like those panels.
That's what I was thinking. But to do it here, not do it in that earlier bit where you were talking about the shots of the scenery.
It's easy to say that after we've seen the Marvel movies, in the sense where the Marvel movies have set such a high standard, where this was done 20, 15 years before that, but it would have just been nice. Yeah, do that. Now, so that's the movie, guys. Now, if you had to do a 30-second wrap-up of the movie, what would it be? It might be. So if I had to do this in a 30-second wrap-up, it would be great actors, great moments, great fights, great scenery and action scenes. However, it's all ruined with the skulls. However, I'm even now still unsure how they could have downplayed the supernatural and made it a little bit more believable, that it had great potential, and unfortunately it could have been better. But for its time, it was a good comic movie.
Yeah, look, there's not a lot I can that I can add to that, because I agree with pretty well everything you've said there, Jim, which is a bit unusual. I can, and we brainstormed during the movie about different ways to bring the Skulls of Taganda in. I said to you that I'd put it out as a Twitter question too. Ryan Moore, who at Born a Bulldog, so good luck to you this weekend, my friend, has said just to have them be very precious, maybe owned by different warring tribes, and the Phantom brings back peace by settling the dispute, which is pretty well what I said. So I'll say thank you, Ryan, for agreeing with me there. And Serge Jabir, who has contributed a few times through the movie, has said my thoughts exactly in response to that one. So the Twitterverse, and I would say, that's probably how you would do the Skulls of Taganda without having to be supernatural. But the rest of the movie, I think it stands up. And for people who criticize it and say, oh, Billy Zane wasn't a very good Phantom, I think he was a really good Phantom. I really do. I think the way that he moved, yes, there's a couple of really scenes like when he's spotted by, and I know I'm over my 30 seconds, so whatever. the scene where Billy Zane is caught in the headlights of the taxi outside the zoo, it's a bit campy or false or whatever it might be, but for the most part I think that Billy Zane is an excellent portrayal of who I think Kit Walker and the Phantom is. So on the whole, it gets a big double thumbs up from me, except for the supernatural skulls.
Steve?
Yeah. So the supernatural skulls is not my favorite part of the movie. I'm probably not have the quite visceral reaction to it as you guys do, but yeah, I don't like it. The film is absolutely enjoyable, and I think around about this time in the 90s, well, people of course were familiar with Indiana Jones, so had that feel to it. But I think at the same time, around about this time, they'll think they would have come out a little bit earlier. But films like The Rocketeer and Dick Tracy, The Shadow, yeah, had come out as well, and I assumed did all right because there were so many of these sort of films coming out. So I can see why they set the tone for back in the 1930s. But I would, if they were going to do it again, I'd like them to see it done in the present day. Really enjoyed it, action packed, and like I was saying throughout the movie, there's no scene that drags on too long. And anytime it feels it might just about to go too far, it stops and we're on to the next action scene. I think that the pacing of the movie is really, really good. So please interact with us on social media, or you could email us once again at chroniclechamber@gmail.com. We've got a few people on the Twitter. We've been mentioning it, so it's at chronicle_tweet is our Twitter handle. Instagram, subscribe to us on iTunes and Spotify, and on apps like Podbean, Player FM, Castbox, and all the rest of it. And if you go to us on YouTube, please ring that bell, get your notifications, all that sort of stuff. So click the subscribe button, then click the bell, and you'll always know when we've got a new video up.
I don't know if it's going to be entertaining to listen to, but I've certainly been entertained by doing it with you guys. So thank you very much. And it was really good to go through and check out the film again.
No worries. And instead of happy fans, slam evil.
And upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die. The Phantom, the ghost who walks. The Phantom, enemies beware. The Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom.